What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Before You Buy. This is where we break down real gameplay and everything you need to know, all of it before you spend your money. Today, it is Hell Let Loose Vietnam. It launches in just a few days on August 13th. Now, this one already has a story attached to it. It was supposed to be out back in June. The developers pulled it and pushed it 2 whole months, and the reason they gave is the interesting part because it was not the content. Their open beta pulled in over 350,000 players. The feedback on what was actually in the game came back positive. What they were not happy with was performance. So the question for your $40 is pretty simple. Did 2 extra months fix it? Well, let us get into it. Quick disclosure first, because that is how we do things here. This game is not out yet. Everything in this video comes from 2 places. The first is the open beta that ran at the end of May. The second is the official developer overview from Expression Games, where game director Paul Ruszczynski walks through the systems himself. So when I talk about how something feels, that is a beta build and not the launch build. And when I talk about content, that is the studio's own word rather than something I have verified myself. I will be clear about which is which as we go through it. Worth knowing that overview is episode 1 of a new ongoing series from the studio. They have said they will cover more maps and the other modes. Roles, weapons, and equipment are coming too, so more detail is between now and launch, and I will cover it as it lands. So here is the deal. Hell Let Loose Vietnam lands on August 13th. That is PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, plus PC. On PC, that covers Steam, the Epic Games Store, and the Microsoft Store. The standard edition is $39.99, and that is worth pausing on for a second. It is $10 under the usual shooter price and $20 under what a lot of games are asking now. The deluxe edition is $59.99 and adds cosmetic packs plus future field supplies. Pre-ordering either edition gets you a U.S. Army boat crew uniform. One thing I am deliberately not telling you is when the physical discs land. Those dates were set before the delay, and I have not seen them reconfirmed. If you have never touched Hell Let Loose, here is the short version. This is a 50 versus 50 tactical shooter that is far slower and more deliberate than something like Call of Duty. You pick a role rather than a loadout. You need a squad around you, and you genuinely need people talking to each other because a team that communicates will dismantle a team that does not. That holds true regardless of how good anybody's aim is. A match is a long, grinding push over control points rather than a run of quick respawns. Supply lines matter. Somebody has to build the garrisons that let your team spawn forward. Somebody has to drive the truck. If nobody does the boring jobs, your team loses no matter how many kills the front line gets. Vietnam takes that same framework and moves it out of World War II. And according to the director, the pace here is faster than the original game. That is a real change for a series whose entire identity was being slow and methodical. Now, the thing that actually makes this worth your attention, the 2 sides are not mirrored. In the original Hell Let Loose, both teams broadly work the same way. Here, the United States and the North Vietnamese Army play completely differently. The Americans get helicopters, they transport infantry, and they drop supplies. You can also fire machine guns from the doors while moving, so the US plays a game of air mobility and fast repositioning. The North Vietnamese Army gets none of that. What they get instead is tunnels. They dig covert tunnel networks underneath the map and move through them silently. That lets them surface somewhere the enemy is not expecting, and there is a direct counter built for it. US recon and infantry teams hunt for those tunnel entrances. When they find a network, they can collapse the entire thing. Every single NVA soldier inside that network at that moment dies with it. That is the most interesting idea in this game by a distance. The map design leans hard into all of that. Jungle blocks sightlines far more aggressively than open European fields ever did. So there is real cover to move through and a real reason to sneak. Interconnected waterways run through many of the maps. That creates hard pinch points where tanks and trucks have to funnel over bridges, and it lets boats patrol the rivers. There's also much more verticality that gives you vantage points worth holding and places to put deployable defenses, and the setting is more varied than just jungle. The director lists military bases and rolling dunes. There are semi-open villages and tight jungle confines too. So this is not one green corridor for 8 hours. On modes, the game launches with 4 of them. Those are Warfare and Offensive, plus Conquest and Domination. Warfare is the flagship and the one most people will live in. It is a tug of war where both sides fight to capture control points while defending their own. It swings back and forth across the map as the match goes, but it is worth flagging what the betas actually covered. The closed beta was Warfare only. The open beta added Offensive on top. Conquest and Domination have not been publicly played at all, and the studio said it would detail them at launch, so 2 of your 4 launch modes are effectively untested by the public. That is not a red flag on its own, but it does mean half the mode list is a known quantity and half of it is a promise. For what you are actually getting, it is 6 maps at launch across those 4 modes. The one everybody has already played is Thanh Hoa Bridge. The Vietnamese called it Ham Rong or Dragon's Jaw. That is a real place with real history behind it. It was a focal point of the fighting, and American aircraft failed to destroy it for 7 straight years. In-game, it is built around that central bridge over the Ma River. A waterway system runs north to south with mountains along the flanks. The studio also opened up all of the tutorials for the open beta. For a game this complicated, that is a bigger deal than it sounds. Now, 6 maps might sound light if you are used to other shooters, but these are enormous spaces built for 100 players at once, and matches here run long. You are not going to exhaust 6 of them in a weekend. Right, performance. This is where the whole video has been heading. The open beta ran from the 29th of May to the 1st of June on Steam. It pulled in over 350,000 unique players. Daily actives peaked above 184,000. Those are big numbers for a niche tactical shooter. The feedback on the content came back positive, but the studio identified performance problems and delayed the game 2 months to work on them. I want to be fair to them here. Choosing to eat a 2-month delay rather than ship something rough is the right call. Plenty of studios would have shipped it anyway and patched later. It also fits how they ran the closed beta. The director says they were specifically testing performance and playability alongside balancing and stability. They then reacted to that data before the open beta. So this is a team that has been measuring rather than guessing. But here is my honest position on it. I have not seen the launch build, and neither has anybody else outside the studio, so I cannot tell you performance is fixed. Anybody telling you it definitely is fixed is guessing. So who is this actually for? If you already play Hell Let Loose, this is an easy one. It is the framework you know, with a genuinely different tactical layer bolted on. The asymmetry alone will keep you busy for a long time. If you bounced off the original for being too slow, the faster pace here might bring you back. If you have never played a 50 versus 50 tactical shooter, understand what you're signing up for. There is a real learning curve. You will die to things you never saw coming, and you will have a rough time solo queuing without a microphone. If you are purely a Call of Duty player wanting something quick between matches, this is not that, and it is not trying to be. So, here is my honest take. If you are already in on this series, $40 is a fair ask. Same if you have friends who will play it with you. 6 maps and 4 modes with a hook. This distinctive is good value at that price. I would buy it. If you're on the fence, wait about a week. Same if performance is the thing that would ruin it for you. Let the launch reports come in and see whether those 2 extra months did the job. The game is not going anywhere, and a week of patience costs you nothing, and that is a before you buy. Some pros, some cons, and my honest take. Now I want to hear yours. Are you going US and flying helicopters, or NVA and digging tunnels? Did you play either beta, and how bad was performance for you? And is $40 the right price for a shooter like this? Let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.